language. I welcome Mr. Joseph, Mr. Jayakumar, and also a special guest, Mr. Rajiv Talwar, um, to begin the session. Welcome, everyone, sir.
Thank you so much, Mohit. Thanks for your introductions. Uh, Let me welcome Jayakumar and Rajiv Talwar. Rajiv Talwar is one of our batchmates who was also the administrator of Lakshadweep. So I'm going to have him on our show many years ago, one of these days, maybe in January. But first, let me welcome everybody who's in the audience to the 9th episode of All That's Kerala, a chat along the backwaters, which is a fortnightly program every 2 weeks that city book leaders, of which Mohit Gupta is the founder, director, and Kerala Museum, Cochin, are presenting. All That's Kerala tries to introduce Kerala to the country and to the world, and to Kerala itself. Again, many thanks, Mohit, city book leaders, and Atiti of the Kerala Museum. She's not here today for supporting this program. Today's episode is on Malayalam cinema and its journey from Kollywood. Kollywood is actually Kodambagam, which is the Hollywood of Chennai, the then Madras. The Malayalam film industry actually began in Chennai. Its heydays in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was in Chennai, in Kollywood, in Kodambagam. And then it moved on into the space in Kerala, which we now call Mollywood, which was in the late 80s and the 90s, and then continued to be in Kerala. And it also during the period, as I understand, I'm sure Jayakumar will tell us better, shifted from an indoor shoot in sets, artificial sets, to a largely outdoor shoot these days. And today it's growing, and I'm sure the future of the Malayalam cinema is based on the use of technology. So today we're going to discuss this journey from Kollywood, that is Kodambagam in Madras, which was the center of the South Indian film industry, to Mollywood, and perhaps, who knows, in the next 10 years, 20 years, to Hollywood. So let me first welcome Jayakumar. Now, who better to look at the history of Malayalam cinema and take us through a journey from Kodambagam and Madras, where it all began, to what it is today, and then help us to take a peek into the future than Sri K. Jayakumar, one of my batchmates in the IAS. Jayakumar is one of the most celebrated IAS officers in the state of Kerala, someone who has made a tremendous mark in the administration of the state. He has been Collector Kozhikode, he has been Tourism Director, Tourism Secretary, Vice Chancellor of 2 universities, the Mahatma Gandhi University in Kottayam, and the founder Vice Chancellor of the newly established Malayalam University in Tirur. And then, of course, who has not heard of Kerala being described as God's own country? Everyone knows Kerala as God's own country, but not many really know that it is Jayakumar who first coined that term. First in Malayalam, he called it in Malayalam Devathinte Swandam Nadu, which he admitted did not sound quite right. There was something missing there. And then he translated it into English, and presto, it became God's own country. That was born, and Kerala got a new tagline. So that is something I think the state of Kerala owes to Jayakumar. Then there is something else that you perhaps do not know about him, and that is that he is the son of one of Malayalam's most famous and prolific film directors, M. Krishnan Nair, who has had the largest number of box office films in the Malayalam cinema history ever. Now, who has not heard about Malayalam classics, cinema classics, like Kutti Kuppayam, Kavya Mela, Karthika, Kudumbam, Collector Maladi, Kaattu Tulasi, Cochin Express, Kanatha Veshangal, Kalam Mari, Kadamari. Now, there's one common thread that runs through all this. One, of course, that it all starts with Ka, but they were all directed by Jayakumar's father, M. Krishnan Nair. He gave to Malayalam cinema that boost which it required in the late 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. And the Malayalam film industry is here today because of Jayakumar's father, M. Krishnan Nair. Coming back to Jayakumar himself, Jayakumar is a writer, a film critic, and a speaker. And most of all, he is a very down-to-earth person, a quality that he says he got from his famous father. Now, Jayakumar is also very much close to the Malayalam film industry. He has written over 100 songs for Malayalam films so far, and I'm sure he'll write much more. So welcome, Jayakumar, to All That's Kerala Chat Along the Backwaters. Thank you for being with us tonight. How would you compare lyrics for the Malayalam songs and the music today with what it was, say, 20, 30 years ago? How has it evolved? Do you think the sort of lyrics and the music that of those times are still relevant today? How do you think music has changed? How do you think lyrics have changed today?
So when I started writing regularly as a film lyricist, that was in 1983, 84, 85, the Malayalam film industry, film songs were on a very good pedestal, in the sense there were very wonderful music directors like Ravindran, Johnson and all these people. Although the stalwarts have wound up. But then that was also a very good period. I could pen a few very good lyrics, which became very popular. So for most of the people, I am not an IAS officer, but most of them relate to me as the writer of such and such song. In fact, I have saved many situations where people would relate to me saying that, sir, you have written that song. Okay, then no problem, we'll settle it. So that there is a heart-to-heart communication. But today, film songs of Malayalam industry, Malayalam films have undergone some kind of a mutation. That is because of 2-3 reasons. One, most of the music directors, if I may say, as the Malayalam University Vice Chancellor, I would say that most of the film directors, most of the producers, and most of the music directors are English medium educated fellows. They can't even read Malayalam. So when you write a beautiful lyrics with a lot of poetry in it, they can read it or not, they can understand it. So they say, sir, you simplify it. When you simplify it, it becomes a colloquial, run-of-the-mill kind of song, which I do not want to write. But then people are fascinated by that kind of very diluted lyrics. And music accompaniment, undue importance to the music accompaniment. So the instrumentation overpowers the lyrical quality of the songs. Therefore, what happens, it might be an instant hit, like all kinds of songs are there, like Jimmy Kamal and all those songs. They are fascination for a week or so, maybe a fortnight, hit of a fortnight, but thereafter it fades. It never goes into the repertoire of the Malayali to be sung again and again. That is because a song walks on 2 feet. Its first foot is the lyrical value, followed by accompanying, matching music. If there is a mismatch between lyrics and music, the music doesn't walk. The song doesn't walk. It doesn't become mobile. Earlier, in the heydays of Malayalam film music, the music and lyrics were like, what should I say, like, if I may use a Kalidas metaphor, it was like word and meaning. It was like word and meaning. The song and the tune and the lyrics and the meaning were so embedded, so enmeshed. Thereafter, there was a divorce between these two. And there are we are forced to write meaningless lyrics, and the music directors, what should I say? What is the word for that? His hegemony is the music director's hegemony that is now directing the course of music. As a result, it is very difficult to recall many of the modern songs. Even if you are asked to sing a song in Malayalam, immediately you go back your 70s or 60s and you recall one of those old numbers. Most of the Malayalis. The new numbers are... It is a 1967 film of my own father, Dr. Tulasi. You don't recall these films because there's a mismatch between music and lyrics. I think Malayalam film industry is in the midst of a crisis, trying to discover an idiom for itself. Tamil film music has discovered its new idiom for the new generation.
How much do you think such films, and even films afterwards, 90s, 2000, in the present millennium, how much do you think films have shaped the Malayali mind today, the Malayali psyche? How much has it shaped the Malayalam society today? What is the impact of films on our thinking, on the Malayali thinking?
I have a slightly offbeat answer for that. Many Malayalam film enthusiasts may disagree with me. Malayalam films have influenced Malayalis thinking and society and the social thinking in a much less influential fashion than Malayalam drama. Malayalam theatre has influenced Malayalis thinking, progressive Malayali thinking, far more effectively in the 40s and 50s than the Malayalam cinema of the 60s and 70s. It has influence, no doubt, but the contribution of the theatre, KPAC, and so many theatres. For example, the left movement in Kerala was riding on the wave of the popularity of the Malayalam theatre. When films were, in a very infant position, or not very advanced, but theatre was a very successful this thing. So if Malayalis have become extremely progressive and socialist in our thinking, it is all because of the theatre. Theatre has been a major influence. Fiction has also been a major influence. But film industry, I think Malayalam film's contribution to the Malayali life is more of an entertainment value than a social engineering value. Although there had been occasional good films, but on the artistic front, Malayalam film industry has scored a very high note than many of his counterparts in Tamil or Kannada or Telugu, yeah, where they are still mired in extravaganza, like what is that film? The biggest extravaganza ever, Bahubali. The Bahubali syndrome.
Bahubali.
The Bahubali syndrome has never struck Kerala, although recently some of the films have been emulating them. But by and large, Malayalam film industry has not contributed to a social awakening, but it has helped a lot in shaping a cinema culture, in a visual culture. And the artistic quality of Malayalam films has been extremely good. In the sense, that is why we compete with, even today, I think yesterday I read Jallikattu or the Pellisheri is competing for the Oscars. So technologically and aesthetically, Malayalam cinema is a step ahead of any other films in the country, I should say, even better than the Bengali films and even better than Marathi films, which were the benchmarks of once upon a time. Today, Malayalam films are known for their originality, where their offbeat thematic choice of themes and very bold treatment of themes.
Why do you think, Jayakumar, that the Malayalam films did not impact society as much as? What could be the reason that the plays, the Malayalam drama and the theatre, was able to influence our thinking much more than films? Because films have a much wider reach than plays.
See,
there's a bit of a contradiction.
There are a couple of factors. Firstly, filmmaking is an expensive proposition. You cannot make a film these days without having maybe 3 crores or 5 crores in your pocket. So, earlier also, filmmaking was a very expensive industry. Now, who is the person coming with this money? Who wants to make more money? He is not socially oriented, Unlike a play where people of similar orientation come together and present a play, film industry was, to a large extent, it revolved around the producers and subsequently on the directors. We have left-oriented progressive filmmakers like P.A. Bakker, Lenin Rajendran. We have a stream. I'm not saying that. We have. But their influence has been much less than the theatre because they have to satisfy a producer. And governments have not done much in this. Although I was the managing director of Kerala Film Development Corporation. We offer facilities, but then we cannot distinguish between a progressive film and a non-progressive film. We can only say that you make films in Kerala, we'll support it. That is all. So one reason is that it is basically an expensive art. Therefore, people who are money-minded come to the field. You cannot influence their thinking. They want successful films, at best aesthetically good films. That is a major decision, major factor why film has not been very effective in social engineering.
What prevents Malayalam directors today and producers today from making films at a lower cost, which are meaningful?
A relevant question. You see, what are the contributing factors of cost indicators? The bulk of your cost is the cost given to the major leading artists, superstars, megastars, upcoming stars. It's a star cast that takes away more than 50% of the cost. Plus your shooting expenses. Per day shoot expense is nearly 5 lakhs. I may be plus or minus 20%, I don't know. But by and large, it is around 5 lakhs per day you burn for 1 day shooting. And if you shoot the film for 40 days, that itself comes to 2 crores of rupees. Plus your remuneration to the artists, to the technicians. So remuneration to the artists is the major component of the film, cost of the film. So as long as Malayalam film industry is tagged on to the superstars, you cannot cut down the cost. But then you have the option. You can go for low budget films with lesser star cast, but good actors. But then where do you release it? I think technology is giving an option. Your theaters will not give you theaters for releasing a very excellent film, but no actors of reputation. They will not give you theater, not even for a noon show. Not even for a noon show. Now the OTT platforms are coming as an answer. I'm sure the lockdown-induced problems might trigger a new wave of, or open up a new vistas by which aesthetically superior films, without the overcast, if I may use the word, so much of superstars and all that, we can still do that. Even I'm trying to make a film like that. You know.
Good luck to you. You spoke about, Jayakumar, you spoke about superstars. They're not really superstars in Kerala today. They are mega stars. They have a huge following,
yes,
and they have these fan clubs. I'm not mentioning names, but obviously every Malayali will know. While Prem Nasir and Satyam in those days were extremely good artists, they didn't come to be known as megastars. They didn't have this fan clubs. Do you think that this concept of fan clubs and megastars has impacted the film industry for good and for bad?
Prem Nasir was the first superstar, I should say, Satyam. They were the two superstars. And my father has worked with Prem Nasir. Out of the 95 films in Malayalam, my father directed. Prem Nasir was a hero in 45 films. They were like so thick. They were so thick friends. It was Prem Nasir who ensured that my father doesn't decide the film industry out of distress. He said, have resilience, one day we will make it. And both of them made it. You see, they were very humane persons. I'm not saying that the present superstars are not humane, but the times have changed. And what is the cost of making a film today? 10 crores, 15 crores, 20 crores. And superstars take a lot of money and they have the fan following and all that. Therefore, the entire dynamics has changed. Prem Nasir's days have gone. Simple days. In fact, there is a photo of my father and Prem Nasir sleeping on a parapet wall on the roadside. I think it is making its rounds on WhatsApp also. People have taken it. So these days you can't imagine. Exactly. Yeah.
That's a one. Both of them, his father and Prem Nasir, the superstar, are sleeping on a roadside curb. Imagine that.
While they were preparing for the next shot, I suppose. So times have changed. And you can't blame them because the industry revolves around them. When the industry revolves around superstars, they try to develop their own angularities. Some of them are out of necessity. Some of them have been induced on them. So you can't blame them. Industries like that. It is a multi-million industry. They are the kings. They are the kings. They control the show. So you can't expect them to be too democratic. So most of them are very simple, nice people. You know, all these people are very simple people. But then there is a aura around them. And for example, a scene like this which you showed cannot exist now because there is what is called what do you call it?
Yeah. They are huge air-conditioned bedroom, bathroom.
Exactly. So once that has come into being, after taking a shot, they go back to the caravan. That's called the caravan. They go back to the air-conditioned caravan. So when the shot is ready, the director's man will go and say, "Sir, shot is ready." So he comes and what is it? You smile at the heroine. So he comes, screens and goes back, you know.
So there's a question from Ashwin Pauli. He asked, why do you think our films, and he includes the Indian film also, are not recognized on global platforms? Why, like the Oscars, when do you think a Malayalam film will win an Oscar?
I think we will hit the Oscars when our young people are given the liberty and encouragement to think so freely and out of the box. The films which have been recognized in major film festivals are those not made by major filmmakers here. They are all offbeat directors, one of their kind. They out of passion they have made films. So it is a passion that matters. After all, a film is also a piece of art. It's a statement. It's an artistic statement by the director. But because it's a very expensive medium, there are a lot of entry barriers. If the OTT platform is one good thing, lack of emphasis on superstars is another option. I'm sure I'm very hopeful about Malayalam film industry. I may not be as hopeful about Malayalam film songs, but about Malayalam films, I am very hopeful and positive because there is a new breed of young filmmakers, daring filmmakers who take upon any theme, any theme, socially relevant themes, and explore it very sensitively. I am sure that the next 10 years are going to be Malayalam films decade, no doubt about it. Our young fellows are so very good, very, very dynamic filmmakers.
That's a very positive thought, Jayakumar. We earlier spoke about the COVID. Malayalam film industry and film industry all over the world has run into huge losses with COVID. Theaters are empty, multiplexes are empty. How do you see the film industry going forward after COVID? You spoke about OTT platforms, Netflix and things have taken over. They've got a huge following. So you really think the traditional filmmaking, cinema making that we are used to will change and will shift more and more to OT platforms, to multiplexes and so on? And if that is the case, how is it going to impact the industry in Kerala?
At the moment, film industry is highly impacted by COVID. There are thousands of people living depending on film industry. Small, not only superstars, smaller stars, technicians, so many of them survive on films. For the last 9 months, nothing has happened. So film industry is really in a crisis. Post-COVID is not going to be like pre-COVID days. I'm sure about that. It is going to be a hybrid reaction, or our response is going to be a hybrid kind of reaction, in the sense low budget films will take over. High budget films will have its own limitations. Definitely there will be theater releases, but reserved for very high budget films. And low budget films will go to the OTT platform. It is going to be a coexistence of high budget and low budget films, theater release, as well as technology, OTT platforms, even new OTT platforms coming up. I think post-COVID is going to be a more promising, I should say. If we get out of this tunnel of current days, it is going to be a period of opportunities. A period of opportunities where our stereotypes will fall away, and a lot of opportunities. After all, the film that I have made should go to the viewer. That is all. I think this platform, technology is giving us wonderful opportunities, and I am very hopeful that more and more filmmakers, daring filmmakers, will come up and take our Malayalam films forward.
You said you will continue your presence in the film industry now that you are no longer a civil servant, that you have retired. So will you continue your presence in the film industry, you said, through direction?
Yes, I have already worked on a few scripts as a script writer. I'm taking a couple of documentaries. I might also direct a film. I'm working on it because film is in my. I directed a children's film, in 2000. In 2000, directed a children's film. 2 hours, 1 hour 50 minutes film. Now I might direct a couple of feature films also, aesthetically good films, which that's what I claim. I'll be there because it is in my genes.
Would it be an M. Krishnan Nair type film, or would it be Adur Gopalakrishnan type film, or both?
Dedicated to the memory of my father, but I want to follow some very good filmmakers, aesthetically evolved filmmakers.
Have you ever thought of getting into acting? You're a very handsome man.
Pardon?
Have you ever thought of getting into acting?
No.
You're a very good-looking man. No, why?
Why even in my better days. Now I am in the evening years of my life, but in good old days also I never had this. Acting is not in my blood, but filmmaking is. I will do a couple of films. I may not be the greatest filmmaker, but it will give me satisfaction.